I'll call on the students to ask them to respond. And I'm going to go first up with Nadine. Nadine, I'd love to hear from you, and it's wonderful, wonderful to see your face.
Thanks, Erica. So great to be here with
Hello.
you guys. Thank you. I did the course in 2019, 2020 in Naples, Michigan, and it truly changed not only my life, but the life of my clients. How did it do that? I became a better coach for sure, and a better person, a better mother, a better wife, a better daughter, and it helped me to, I guess, really look at myself on a deeper level. The way I would look at my clients and connect with my sense of adventure, my curiosity for life, all the things that we think of when we think of working with our clients, what brings out the joy in their lives. Helped me to do the same for my life. So it changed me personally, and it helped me to dig a little deeper with my clients. And by me changing myself, I was able to help them on a deeper level for sure.
Well, we hear that so frequently, Nadine, that that students come to this for professional growth,
Yeah.
and are shocked, amazed, and in awe of the personal growth
Yes.
that happens first, that sends them on a new journey professionally. Thank you so much. Nadine, I think you might be the only one here today, starting a session tomorrow from your class. Can you just talk a little bit about what happened in your group between the students, despite being virtual for most of the time, not getting to reconnect in person in the last residential?
Yeah, absolutely. It was mind blowing. I think there were about 11 of us in that cohort, and we all came from, Australia, California, different Midwest as well, Florida, Michigan, and we were strangers to begin with, but by the end of our session together, we had become really great friends. And even up to today, I connect with some of those folks in my group, and we connect about our personal lives, and we connect about our professional lives. So we've become a family, and we share different topics with each other, and we ask for advice from each other. So it's a really great family that has bonded and grown through being in that cohort in Naples together for sure.
Thanks so much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Elizabeth, can I ask you next to respond to any of the questions that call to you?
Yeah, it's going to be the best memory. The last day, really, just from what Marcus shared. I don't know if Marcus scarred me or what, but it still sits in my heart from what Marcus shared, and then how that has stuck with us. In you come there professionally, but all of the personal changes, you really understand and see all the personal growth that occurred after the 9 months. You see it in yourself, but you see it in everybody else. And there's just this rawness that's allowed that really, I think, is carried over into humanity for other people as I've been coaching, and for other people just in life, because you remember what you think when you first see them and you first walk in, and then you have this beautiful, very deep moment 9 months later. And there are just a lot of things, like Greg came and gave me Reiki for the baby. And there's just like a lot of these really deep connections that I've known people for 30 years that I've never had that, but we were able to create this. And just the way that it's able to go with everybody else in the world just really was incredible to me.
So, not to make everybody scared of Marcus, let me provide some context. During our residential sessions, we invite the students to offer something during the breaks. And in our last day, Marcus did kind of a liturgical dance where he offered love through movement to each person in the room, and it will stay with me forever as well. It was just the most beautiful, authentic expression of community and love. Marcus, I think naturally we have to go to you next.
Thank you very much. Really glad to be here. Um, so, best memories from the 9 months. I would say one thing that inspired me to become a coach is that I firmly believe that we all have this living story within us, this living narrative. Powerful. So the exercise where we went and we drew out our life stories and these significant moments in January, me coming intimately face to face with that, with what I drew out, was so powerful. And then to come back 9 months later and revisit that story and look how many things have changed in my life. It just further, for me, emphasized the importance of connecting with that story. And that story doesn't have to continue to play out in a particular way, that we can explore it, we can challenge it, we can change it, we can pull from it what we need to get stronger. So that was very powerful for me. And the topic, I would say, was resilience. That really supported me, continues to support me.
What you're alluding to, Marcus, which I like to name up front for anyone who's considering participating in this program, I think all of you would agree, is this program doesn't leave room for you to sit back and hide and be a passive participant. You are all in. We're all in together. And it is certainly, though, challenging, the best way to grow individually and together. Thank you, Marcus. Paige, hi.
First, I just have to say, seeing the members from my cohort, I'm not even kidding. I listen to my voice cracking, like it chokes me up. I miss them so much, and I'm in Jacksonville, so I go by UNF and my heart just does this thud. I wish I was turning in. So I'm so grateful to be here, and of course cannot recommend this program enough. Words will really fall short trying to really describe the magic that happens when we all get together. There's so much wisdom in that space. And I've been in a lot of classrooms over my life, and there's something about this framework that just lends itself to such growth and exploration and curiosity that I've never experienced in any other circle before. And it just makes my heart so happy, and I'm always available to support Wellcoaches in this program.
Thank you, Paige.
Sure.
Because of the depth and the interactivity, it creates an intimacy and connection between folks, unlike anything I've ever experienced in another training space too. I appreciate that. Hi, Amy.
Hello, I hope it's not too loud. My office is under construction. So I'm in our work cafe. But yeah, it's great to be here. And I feel like I could answer all of these questions. But that first question, the class and the topic that stood out most, there were so many, but the one that I think about all of the time is the internal family systems. And, we talk about parts work and the internal family systems model without talking about it when we talk about the trans theoretical model of change and things like that. But the language and the ability that internal family systems subject gives you, and the amount of depth and forgiveness and love that you get to show all of these different parts of yourself when you're in contemplation, when you're in pre-contemplation, when you are in action but you're struggling, it really, I think, helped flush out the coaching process for me. Even if I never say the words internal family systems out loud, I think it has given a depth of empathy and understanding and love for me, for myself, but also for me, for my clients. And yeah, that was for sure my favorite topic.
Yeah, thank you. You're naming that we're not just digging into psychological theories, which of course we are, but also providing some real tools that you can use with clients. On our last day with this group, we just brainstormed all of the all of the tools that they'd come up with, all the things they'd learned, and easily filled two large pieces of newsprint hanging on the wall with that. So thank you, Amy. I appreciate it. John, love to hear from you. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. It's I'm gonna take rather than talking about how beautiful the experience was, my favorite course, I'm gonna take the value. Man, the value both personally and professionally was extremely profound. I've experienced the impact in my own life and the impact that I'm having on my clients directly from referencing some of the tools that we've learned in this program, right? And some of the experiences that we've had together. A lot of the exercises in the last residential session, I mean, there were so many to choose from, and like to have that much available to my intuition whenever I'm sitting with a client is like the possibilities for the directions that sessions can go is endless. And it's caused so much of an ability to cause divergent thinking in my clients and get them out of the stuck patterns that people enter coaching for, right? And to move them away from that and into the language of possibility and from a different mind frames, like from the IFS work that that Amy mentioned, like that's been really, really powerful to implement. And I'd say just the value of the course overall is number one, the cohort, the professionals that you'll be working with. The more that you interact with them and the better that you keep in communication and open up lines of communication, the more that you'll learn. And number two is the breadth of information. Is you will get so many tools and so many different areas that you could possibly specialize in moving forward out of the program, that like there's so much that you can't specialize during the program, but you will be exposed to everything that you could possibly want to take your career direction in. So I think that is like a huge value proposition for this program is one, the people, and two, the breadth and the essential depth that you go into in the breadth of information, modalities, material, and like tools that you can use. And then you take it from there on your professional path forward where you want to specialize.
Thank you, John. You mentioned you're really already noticing the impact on your clients. I'll say what's fresh on my mind is just yesterday, I received an email from your mentor from the course, one of our faculty members, who said he is really quite good about you. And so we know you've taken those tools and are applying them even in a setting with a mentor who is a faculty member with years and years of experience and letters behind their name and making an impact.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, Noah, that's another thing that we didn't mention. Noah was really great to work with as well. So you will work with some class A mentors as well. So for the personal mentor part of the program, like that will be really impactful as well. I loved the group and individual mentor sessions because the more that you can take these tools and specifically apply them, with a mentor is going to impact what you can do with your clients as well. So wow. I'm glad you brought that up. That was another really impactful part of the program.
Thanks, John.
Mm-hmm.
Cynthia, are you out there and available to talk?
Yes, I am.
Great.
And I'm very happy that I get to be one of the last ones to speak because everybody said everything that needed to be said. I totally agree with everything that everybody else has shared. And for me, what stands out the most is kind of the journey that we all went on together. And we first walked into that room as strangers, and really not knowing what this experience would be, to where we found ourselves in when we came back for our reunion in Jacksonville. And we were truly a family, we were community. And it was just so beautiful to see everybody stepping into their particular gifts. And the cohort, we just seemed to, we all had our place, we all had our pieces to contribute. And it really made for a full experience. And in terms of the curriculum itself, I think what I would take away from this experience is just the appreciation and the time that the curriculum gives to our darker side, the negative emotions that we sometimes don't want to look at, and the power of really working in that space and helping our clients find vocabulary and find tools to express that as part of the fullness of their experience, so that they can become unstuck and move forward. And I really had a great appreciation for that aspect of the curriculum.
And I'm guessing that because of the environment that was created for this group, it was perfectly safe to explore that dark side, as you named. It's really important that although we highlight the value of positivity and positive emotions and strengths, that we honor all parts of you, which is why we've also heard how important the internal family systems piece was to our students. Thanks so much, Cynthia. Joanna.
Hi. So 100% agree with everything everybody has said so far, and especially it's so lovely to see all your faces. I would like to talk about what was the class/topic that stood out the most. And I would say that there's almost like an invisible topic that becomes visible through the integration of all of the topics. You start out studying one book, and then as you go through the course, you see how the different topics relate to one another and deepen your understanding of things, until there's this kind of gestalt that emerges out of everything. And as you integrate all of the topics into yourself, there's a confidence that also emerges. And like I have a deeper intuitive understanding of all of this that I can bring to my work with my clients. And that's the topic that stands out for me.
That the whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
And isn't that the way it is with our clients too, and their lives? Yeah. And the equation of coach plus client equals so much more than coach and client. Yeah. Thank you, Joanna. Susan.
It's so great to see everyone, but I think for me, I've taken a lot of courses and have a number of degrees, and I've done so much hoop jumping in my life just to, get a course. You don't have to do that in this course at all. Everything makes sense. Everything that you're given is something that you can use. The pieces just fit together so well. I'm a better person for it and a much better coach for it. And I just feel like there's so much that I've gotten that I'm using and can use. And there was not one moment, 1 second, 1 minute where I thought I had to do something just to finish the course, to jump through the hoops. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is just our class was so diverse in terms of background and education and what we were doing professionally, and our age and our gender and our race and just everything. And everybody came to this course with strength. And I so relied on everybody's strengths. I learned so much just from everyone else. So if anybody's considering it, just do it. I mean, it's fabulous.
Thank you, Susan. So there isn't one right way to coach. You felt empowered to be Susan, the coach, with these tools, not a robot, not following a specific checklist. That this program really gives you your wings to live into autonomy. I really appreciate that. I think I've heard from all of my former students. Please speak up if I missed you. All right. Well, before I let you all go, I want to just give our guests today, those who are thinking about the class, taking the class, an opportunity to ask any other questions they have of you about the experience. I'm going to go through the logistics of the course next, but want to invite those who are considering it, who are contemplating it, to ask anything you'd like of these folks. They're open and honest. Okay, Terry, Joe, go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you all so much for being here. I really like hearing about your experience with the coaching program. And I'm curious if any of you were coaching before. Did you go straight from the core training, or were you coaching before you went into the advanced coaching program? Where were y'all on your coaching journey?
Wow, I think everybody was in very different places. Maybe we could first hear from somebody who maybe feels like they weren't doing a lot of coaching before the program. Does that feel like it resonates with anyone? They felt like a kind of less experienced coach. Paige, I see you nodding your head. Yeah, I thought that might be you, Paige.
Yeah, I'm. Hi, Terry, Joe. How are you?
Thank you.
Good. So great question. I literally walked into this class knowing that I was going to be the least experienced probably person in the room, since I actually am not a coach, but I have gone through Wellcoaches for a very specific reason. I was actually studying for my master's and in psychology, and was considering, I had been accepted into another program for mental health licensure, and just wasn't feeling like that was really my best use of my strengths and talents. I really wanted to start with people that were looking forward and really in a process of wanting to do the same, kind of build on their strengths and strategize and explore. And where I was in school recommended Wellcoaches. And when I started it, I fell in love with the process, nonviolent forms of communication, listening, and, everything that you know about OARS that you've probably already studied. It just really called to me. And I ended up really, this next level of training that I jumped into, I did for a very specific purpose that was not really related with coaching, for an intervention for a specific population that I work with. And I just can't tell you, I went in with pretty high expectations, and again, just so blown away from it. And even though I went in, I would consider the lowest person on the totem pole as far as experience in coaching, I never missed a beat. And I felt like it was such a blessing to be in a classroom where there was just this incredible wealth of experience, that I got to stand on the shoulders of people that I consider giants. And so for me, I don't know if you're asking because you feel like maybe you don't have maybe some of the experience. To me, that's such an advantage, because you can only go up, right? It's just this amazing opportunity that I don't feel like comes along. Most of the time you're kind of paired with people on your same kind of professional level. And for me, it was just this, I felt like I was catapulted. So I hope that helps with your thought process.
Yes, Paige, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Thank you, Paige. I'd love also just to hear from the other end of the spectrum. Maybe one of the students felt like they've had quite a bit of coaching experience and maybe even wondered if taking yet another training would really be of value. Anyone resonate with that?
I do.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
I resonate with that. I had been coaching completely like 40 hours a week for 3 or 4 years, and I had finished my first cert, which was Wellcoaches 7 or 8 years ago. There wasn't a question about whether or not I wanted to do it because I adore Wellcoaches. It was going back into it though, revisiting the foundations of everything. And a lot of it was books that I had read and rereading them again, but looking at applying, and from a professional standpoint, since I'm training coaches and building teams, it was really helpful to be able to create that objectiveness of how am I able to give this information in such a way that coaches are able to apply it within my own teams and the own company that I'm running. And then getting back to the guck that I thought I've worked on and I didn't work on. It took me 9 months to get there, but realizing all the stuff, because I came in and I'm like, I'm done with inner work, and sure as heck, we were not done with inner work. So that was really beneficial as well through the 9 months, but really it's helped me learn how to manage relationships better from a standpoint of not as a novice of when I first went through Wellcoaches, but helping coaches come in specifically in the group coaching space.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Elizabeth is a second generation well coach. Her mother participated a few years back in both our core coach training and this advanced coach training, and is now raising the third generation of coach in incubation right now. Terry, did that address your question, or do you have a follow-up?
I have a follow-up.
Great.
Yeah, so Elizabeth, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And since you mentioned business, this may be covered in the next part of the session, but were there any business building classes in there, like how to get your business started and off the ground and those types of things? Or I mean, I totally love all the inner work. It's like we're never done with that, are we? So that was, I love hearing about that from everybody, but any business foundations or anything like that?
I'll speak broadly first. No, this program is not designed for your business development. We really do focus on the psychology of behavior change. Just as we do in the core course. And we keep our business focus classes in our memberships. If you're not familiar with that, Terry, and I apologize if you've been a member for 10 years and I don't know, that may very well be the case, but that's where our business classes live. We do some practicing around our coaching proposition and our elevator pitch, for lack of a better word, but it's not really that. In our last residential session, that does come to mind around some of that kind of business preparation. Is anything else coming up for you all that I'm forgetting that you feel might support business development? I see John saying no. That's fine. Wasn't our intention in this course.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Sure thing. Erin, I see your hand.
Yeah, so I do have Wellcoaches as my, I did it in grad school and then was able to take the course recently, actually in the last 18 months. And I've been in the health and wellness coaching vein for about 6 years. And I'm being pulled now more to do team coaching, organizational coaching. I am in a healthcare organization, and I'm wondering if anybody from the past cohort is being pulled to do similar things, or it works in that sort of similar capacity, and or how the skills taught in this program are applied. I'm just trying to make sure it's applicable.
Marcus, are you raising your hand to respond?
Yes.
Thank
yes,
you, sir.
as a matter of fact. I really appreciate the question. Aaron, so give you some context. I went through the core training, became a certified coach. All well intentions is to continue to build my coaching business and brand. And last year, I relocated to Asheville, North Carolina, and became the equity and inclusion training consultant for the city of Asheville. So you just asked about, or you just shared being pulled in a direction of like team development and growth and team coaching. And I have very much found myself in that situation. Not because anyone came and said, Marcus, can you help build our team? But in every interaction, every conversation, coaching of the organizational development. So what I've found in my case, I haven't been asked to do that, but what I have presented is each interaction that I have engaging in a very meaningful way. And oftentimes coaching does show up to help support that team coaching and development and growth. And I'm getting invited to departments to ask to come and speak and help them around their issues, all because of presenting these coaching skills.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marcus. John, can I call on you next?
Yeah, I would say it. I think especially the direction that you're being pulled in, it's like when you say towards group coaching, is that more like leadership teams? Is that training and development for new people? Is it groups of patients? Like what kind of groups?
Yeah, it's middle nurse management and
Okay.
succession plan for future CNOs, and eventually that leads to better patient care.
But it is more like in the leadership space. That's
correct.
Okay, good. And then when it comes to the organizational leadership space, I mean, that's going to be, pretty much all around facilitating healthy communication, right? And then blocks two, healthy communication, right, between the folks. And, so when it comes down to the specific topics that you're going to be coaching around, yes, like this will support noticing and helping people notice, like what are the blocks to them communicating well, what does come up within the what are blocks within the organization? Is it a systemic type issue, or is it more of like a personal type thing that's going on that's getting in the way of that communication, and or them like stepping up in front of the room as the leader, the way that they're interacting with their patients or the folks or the nurses below them. So it really, when it comes to leadership and communication, it really is personal, right? And I'd say with this program, getting into the personal things that can support that communication and get in the way of it, like really gets down to the things that you can action in the group space. But when it comes to like an actual facilitation process for groups, it's not geared towards that. And I'm not sure that a coaching program would be even like the best fit for like those logistics. But when it comes down to like specifically speaking to the things that can empower your leaders to be better, you'll have those tools and that theory to stand on, like as a coach in those groups. But then facilitation wise, I'd probably speak to Elizabeth. She's our groups girl.
Elizabeth, would you like to add anything? You may also pass, of course.
No, I think John pretty much said it in regards to leadership. Any work that you do through Wellcoaches is applicable. And the communication, even the communication that I need with patients, I'm working with chronically ill patients, and what I learn about that is applicable to leadership. And that's the beautiful thing of the Wellcoaches model. If you sit in that coaching process in theory, it's applicable to anyone. They all put their pants on one leg at a time. So it works really anywhere.
Erin, I'll just add, my master's degree is in human resources with a focus on organizational development. So I, grew up in the world of doing work with low performing groups. But what I use the most now when I'm doing consulting are the concepts from coaching, talking about nonviolent communication and empathy and positivity and what it means to flourish in the workplace, and supporting those individuals to do the inner work that allows them to show up at their best in those teams. You can answer one or all of these if you wish, but I'm going to turn the focus to you so you can tell your truth about your experience in the professional coach training program. And after each of you have spoken, I'll open up the mics to give our prospective students the opportunity to ask questions of you. So Kathy, I saw you come on first. Would you mind sharing whatever it is on your heart about your experience as a student?
You know what it's just struck me just now is how intimate this little group is. And that really is honestly the thing that I loved most about the professional coach training is, I'm in another coach training right now and there's 300 people in it. And I think I was nervous about it, but I just really grew to love the intimacy of it. I loved the group. I loved that there were, about 20 of us, because we really connect over the year. You get to know people really well. And those people are my friends forever in my heart. So I love the coach training part. And I learned so much from it, but I really cherished the relationships and the professional relationships that we built during that time. And I know my coach colleagues will say the same. We love each other, don't we?
Yeah, that is, I was a witness to that. Yeah. So I've been in groups that were small and didn't have the intimacy. And I'm also translating intimacy as, psychological safety. Kathy, could you just expand on what you think led to those deep relationships?
I think part of it is the sharing. Definitely the in-person trainings are invaluable. The time we spent together in Jacksonville, both at the beginning and then again at the end, I feel like really the beginning really kind of cements you together because you do a lot of coaching practice together. And, we've all practiced coaching with people who aren't being authentic and it's harder to practice. And so when we practice together all throughout the year, you really get to know the hearts of people, just like you do with your coaching clients. You get to hear their real challenges that are going on. We coach around those things. We talk about it. So I feel like that that's part of what creates that deep connection. And then by the time we got back together after 9 months of our online training, by the time we got back together in September, people well, and you're connected to those people, and it makes the coaching practice, honestly, I feel like the size of the group is really essential because it makes the coaching practice so much more efficacious, because you do get to know, not only do you love the people deeply, but you get to know them as people and you get to do real coaching practice, which I really appreciated. So I hope that answers your question, Erica.
Thank you. And for those listening in, we do hold the max size of this group to 25, and it generally is more in the 15 to 20 range. And so from my perspective, it really allows you to get to know each person deeply. And I think also the difference in this training than in going through either our core training, or if some of you are from another coach training program, you were sometimes in class with folks who were sent there, by an employer, right? And often very much end up loving it, right? And are great participants. But there is a different intention that often comes with the students that are in this class. They have always chosen to be there because this is such a long-term commitment. It's not expensive, but it's inexpensive. And so that does contribute to the commitment, I think, that you're naming, that people show up and they're all in. We're not starting on the surface with each other. Rob, what about you?
What about me? Dovetailing off what Kathy said, you walk in. I remember walking in the first day and you're like, you see all these people and you're like, okay, what's going to happen? And I sat down with someone and we started talking and okay, this is going to, and then within like a day, the first word that came to my mind was, how vulnerable do they want us to be? You're gonna have to be vulnerable. And even when we went through the 9 months and came back to Jacksonville, one of the exercises we did, everybody kind of, I don't know, jokingly named this one chair. There were 3 chairs. We had to go switch from one role to the other. And the middle chair was the therapy chair. It was like the child chair. It was like, oh, no one wanted to be in there too long. Because the people that are coaching you and getting you the questions are your own peers, and they know you by that time, and they know what kind of questions and how to open things up. So there's a lot of you're really coaching yourself both professionally and personally and stuff. The other thing is that we went from, and correct me if I'm wrong, Erica, the age range is 28 to 70.
Yeah, amazing.
People all over the world, people all over the country. And when we look at an exercise that's done, you get all these perspectives that you just don't hear. And for me personally, it was often, I never thought of that. And you watch somebody and that their feedback is, I got to pay attention to that more. So as you go along, you're like, these people are really talented. They're all talented, and they just have this unique perspective on things that you don't have. And as a group, it's really, really cool to see. And then the main thing is that you really do get to know you. I'm seeing Greg on here and Joanne, and you walk in trying to remember everybody's name, and by the end it's like it's more than that. And we still connect with each other, and I plan to be in connection with these people for as long as I can. They become your team, and they help each other out. We had marriages. I don't know if we had births, we had deaths, we have
a pregnancy.
the whole gamut of life experience you go through and you share with each other. So there is a sense of that community. And the people that surround you, they're good. They're really good at what they do. And then it's just amazing to watch, and usually pretty humble. And so you start to find it out slowly, and it's a beautiful thing to watch and hear.
Well, you are a beautiful part of that, Rob. And, we call this the professional coach training program because I think on the surface, what appeals to folks is how this will elevate you professionally. But what we know, all of you listening in from coaching, is what elevates you professionally is when you become better, more whole, more mature personally. And that is the heart of this. And as Rob named, amazing transformations come from this program. We have seen dramatic career changes, marriages, divorces, pregnancies, births, all of it. And you have the blessing of getting to do this in a community of your new partners professionally and personally. What made me smile really big, Rob, was when you were talking about that exercise, which we won't totally give away because it's a great one in the last residential session. But as you were talking about even how kind of emotionally challenging and charged it was, I saw all of your other classmates beaming with a smile thinking back on that because there is a sense of safety in that space. And even though you don't want to do it, you by the end of this know that everyone in that room has the best intentions for you and believes in your greatest possibilities. Thank you, Rob. Well, let's go to one of our youngest class members, Greg.
That was very cute of you, Erica.
I love you, Greg.
Likewise. I have to say that this program, not knowing what to expect and going into it and watching like a bunch of people blossom before your very eyes. The emotional depths that we went to, the insight, the information that we learned. I mean, I don't think anybody came out of this program not being a different person and a better person than they were when they went into it. And I like the idea of how we have continued to connect, which tells me that it's a real connection. Sometimes we have meetings that we go to or groups, and people say they're going to stay together and that they're going to be in contact, and that never happens. And in this particular case, it happens all the time. Anything somebody asks you, what's going on with you today? Whatever, and it's a beautiful feeling. But more importantly is the growth that you get as a coach, because the information is so varied. Your toolbox grows. You learn how to use skills that you never thought you had or that you thought you might have known, but you found out that you really didn't know, which is also fun. And just the connection. I think it's funny that Rob and Kathy are on the phone, on the call, because I had a unique connection with both of them. And I can say that with everybody in the class. The teaching, the staff is excellent. I mean, we talk every week. It's an intense course, so you have to be ready to participate and to work. But the one thing that I definitely want to mention is fun, because as Erica is smiling right now, we talk about the hard work of it, but it turned out to be fun.
Oh, that's so important, Greg. Because it is really intense. I'm going to show you the reading list. But boy, does it feel good to take a look at yourself. Wow, does it feel amazing to know you're walking away with this with a countless number of tools. We tried to list on the last day, or maybe the second to last day, or not last residential, all the things you'd learned and tools you were taking, and we could have filled up pages and pages, of big Post-it sheets on the wall. And I think you'll all agree with this, that both 2.5 day residential sessions, though, oh boy, deep and emotional, sure don't feel like they drag. The end of that day comes in a flash.
No question.
Joanna.
Well, hi there. So I think what everyone, as everyone's talking, it makes me think of like a trust fall, but it's like an emotional trust fall where you are 100% certain that you're going to be caught. And, there were 17 people in the class, and I came out of it with 16 new best friends. So, ditto to everything that everyone has said so far. And the learning was amazing too. It definitely, I was hoping the course would take my coaching to a new level, and my understanding of all of the coaching concepts that I already knew were taken to just a greater depth and breadth, and started to work together in different ways. And I'm just sort of excited for the journey forward now. The last 9 months were amazing, but I'm so excited for the journey forward and to see how my coaching is going to grow now with all of these new skills and the new understanding that I have.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing in that is just a real confidence in your ability to apply what you learned. Unlike some trainings I've been through where I've had information overload, and then I don't even know where to begin. And my guess is, and you can maybe speak to this, is because there was so much opportunity to practice and apply. We weren't just dumping theoretical, ideas and research on you. It was very practical.
Yeah, definitely. And so you're not just learning the information, you're integrating it into who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. Not just to apply out there on the client, but in here within me.
Yeah, no, my relationships with my children have changed in the last 9 months as a result of this. So yeah.
We should invite the families of students to come sometime. That would be really interesting to give a testimonial.
Yeah.
How so? What do you think it was about your experience as a student that then changed your personal relationships?
A big one was understanding how suffering leads to growth. And I'm less inclined to want to rescue my children from suffering, but like now I step back and I'm like, oh, they're suffering. This is interesting. I wonder how they're going to grow from this. And then I wait and I see if they ask for my help. And if they don't ask for help, then I just offer empathy. Whereas before I would have been like, oh, my child is suffering. I have to save them from this. And I would have rushed in and tried to fix things. But now I'm just like, oh, I'm curious. I'm curious about what they're going to do with this challenge. So,
and in the end, well-being improves for both of you because you're not carrying around
exactly
the burden.
No, my well-being has definitely improved. And also another thing that I've really seen change is, from the internal family systems, just that awareness of how different parts of me want to just step in and fix or give an opinion or shape the situation, and I can be attentive to that part of myself now and ask it to just like take a back seat and just step back and just be more like present and open to whoever is in front of me.
Yeah. And our prospective students here will learn a lot more about the ability to not be subject to the situation or feelings, like aka be a victim to it, but to be object to it, to be able to look at it from up here, and that puts you at greater choice for the best strategy. Thank you, Joanna, for those wonderful examples. I'm really excited to see the folks who have shown up here today from a curious place, and I want to give them the opportunity to ask questions of Kathy and Rob and Greg and Joanna before I let you all go. So what did you come with curiosity about, folks, that you want to hear from a real student, not just from, the Wellcoaches salesperson? Go ahead and raise your hand or just turn on your mic. We can be very casual here in this small group.
Erica, I'll chime in.
Thanks, Michael.
Yeah. The only comment I have is that, I had taken the program many, many years ago at the beginning, and I let my, because I wasn't working as a coach at the time, and they weren't as common as they are now. And then I've come back to go through the program again. And I am just overwhelmed, and in a positive way, how the curriculum has changed. In leaps and bounds. It's so much more rigorous. The quality of the instructors, I don't really recall, but back then. But so just kudos to Wellcoaches and what you've developed. And this is, I mentioned this at another webinar I was on. It wasn't Respond, it was on a chronic disease. It was put on by Berta Health. And, you know, I thought they were answering questions about a whole host of things around diabetes. And I just, you know, what did you think about the role of health coaching? And they didn't address it, but the only reason why I say that is because of the rigors. I have so many certifications, but I doubt that many of the other ones are pale in comparison to this one and to what it takes to, if you take it through its completion. And so I don't think people appreciate the rigors of the training that people receive, you know, at least in Wellcoaches. I can't speak for the umpteen other certification programs. So those are just my comments. And maybe you want to comment on it, or how do we let it be known that, you know, these are rigorous programs and people that do get through the whole process come with some really good skills.
Wow. Thank you so much. I'm really grateful for that. And I'm also hearing that you have great confidence in the quality of this next phase of training. So I really do hope to have you be part of the group and appreciate your commitment to continued learning. So what I want to say is that this is the group, the folks who go through the PCT, the professional coach training, become my people. They are the ones that I go to when we are looking for coaches to participate in research projects, to contribute to research, when there is an employer that is looking for the best of the best, when I'm looking to bring people onto my team, when I'm looking to bring people to develop new curriculum. You become the chosen ones because I get to know you so deeply along with my faculty. And so it really is through this program that we are developing the leaders in the industry. And that is then the way that Wellcoaches really gets to shine. You know, it is many of these graduates who are now published in our 22 research papers that confirm that our protocol and our science works. So thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk about that, Michael. Susan, go ahead.
Hi, Erica. I really appreciate what everyone has shared so far, and I know a little bit about the program, but I'm curious about the mentor coaching piece of it and what that is like, and how it all fits together for an ICF certification, and if just kind of the logistics around that.
Yeah, that's really important. And so our program is approved as an ACTP program, which is they're changing it to something called a level 2 approval. And, you know, we're mid-application for that, but it really is just a kind of one-to-one transfer. Our program is approved for that if you went through the Wellcoaches core training plus the professional coach training. So if you are someone who is here who didn't go through the Wellcoaches coach training and are wanting to do the professional coach training, we'll need to kind of talk one-on-one about the best pathway for you. But the straightest pathway is having done our core coach training and then moving into the professional coach training. By the way, this is the first year that I decided to open this program up to folks who didn't go through the Wellcoaches core coach training. So we may have students who are already nationally board certified, they're eligible to participate, or have an ICF certification, and it's, you know, good continuing education offering. So Susan, good to see you, by the way. So our mentoring in this program takes place. I'm just gonna go a few slides forward. There are 6 private mentoring sessions. I will pair you personally with your mentor after I get to know you in that first residential session. And those sessions vary in length and vary in the delivery, in the style of the feedback that's delivered to. Some of the feedback's delivered in writing and some of it is delivered only verbally. But these mentor sessions combined with what you got in the core coach training program meet our requirements as an approved ICF program for all the mentoring hours that you need. So you don't have to do anything if you've outside, if you've gone through those, through our core program and this. But more importantly, I'd love for any of our former students who may not be finished with mentoring yet, because some folks start that after they finish the classes, to speak to your experience in working in the with mentors one-on-one.
Erica, I'll mention something.
Okay, great.
The main thing was that the mentor coaching, you actually had to coach.
Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't about something that was fake or fictitious. You actually had to coach the mentor, and by doing that, the insight that was provided was tremendous because it was real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's work. It's not you as the student picking the brain of the mentor about how to start your business. It is you demonstrating your coaching skills and getting feedback around that. Yeah, thanks. Thanks so much.
I think I had the opportunity to work with someone outside of the United States. So the ICF came into play and it was fascinating to be, all right, let's do it from a little different spectrum. Let's not use complex reflections. Let's get you out of some of the, and then, so, and the feedback forms kind of mirror each other about what is Wellcoaches and what is ICF and how can you hit it. And you get a lot of excellent feedback about how one translates to the other. And that's, if you push it and you want to do that, go for ICF, then you can ask that up front, and they can gear that. So people start to prepare you for that after once you go through that, because there's more to do, a little bit more to do after that. But it's nice to get that experience and that feedback, because it can be really different than what you used to.
Yeah, thanks, Rob.
Erica, I'll add to what Rob said. I actually just opened my ICF application today. This morning. I've got like two little things I've got to wrap up for the Wellcoaches training that I'll submit to Erica, which one is my journal and the other is a recorded audio session that I have to submit to Erica. When she approves that, then I get my Wellcoaches official certification with the ACTP finish on it.
Yep.
But then you can go ahead, you can go in, if you go into the ICF, you can actually open that application and look at the specifics. In terms of your coaching log, there's some specific things around your log for your 125 or your 500 hours. There's some specifics in there that you may already know or be aware of on kind of how to keep your coaching log to prepare for that. And then, but I feel ready. Like I'm applying for my PCC. I've got to my goal is to have this done by the end of next week, get this stuff sent off to Erica and get my application done. So, but the nice thing is that I feel prepared and I feel ready. And honestly, on a personal level, I feel worthy of it too. I've done the hours, and I feel like this professional coach training elevated me and my confidence personally too, because it's so experiential. You don't get to just talk about coaching, and you don't talk just about the stuff. You live in it really for a year. You live in all those deep coaching bits, all the training, and then you really feel ready too in that sense. So it was both for me in terms of I have my NBHWC already, but I loved the depth of it because it gave me a lot of confidence as a coach. And also if you're already coaching, when you go into the training, it helps because it helps you to really see the application of all your learnings as you're going. You're like, oh, we did internal family systems, and you're like, oh, I see where that fits into coaching. I see how I can use that. Or narrative coaching, like, oh, I love that. I love stories. I love to work in story with my clients. What I liked was the diversity of the training, because we're all different as coaches and we all have kind of different niches. So you can pull like mindset, or you can pull from family systems, or you can, you can pull from these different, I love family systems. That's why I said it twice.
Right.
I like to work in that. That's my little niche. That's something, but like the upside of your dark side, you might have a specific area that you love. And so I loved kind of the diversity of the material too, because some things you're like, I don't know if that's instant influence. Maybe that's not really for me in terms of where I work mostly in coaching, but a lot of tools and a lot of toolbox things. And certainly in the in-person training, lots of toolbox stuff, lots of real practical, live in it. I can do this with my clients kind of stuff but you have to do it yourself, which is where it gets really personal. Right. So
yeah,
it's both.
I really love the way you express it. You feel ready. You earned it. You deserve that.
No, I really do.
PCC. There's no imposter syndrome.
Yeah. And worthiness is actually a struggle for me. So if my imposter would probably say I'm not worthy. So the fact that I feel worthy and ready, I feel like I am a professional coach, and that was validated for me really in the training. And I love that. So.
Thanks, Kathy. Jennifer, I see your hand, and then Iris, I do want to verbally address your question. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah, thank you. I would love to hear just about maybe the biggest difference one of you noticed in the way you coached your clients before doing this training and after, or just a difference in their ability to get results in the relationship you had with them.
I can speak to a little bit about that. I mean, I do coaching in a private practice, small. I work for a corporation, and then we were working on the ICF. So I felt like, all right, we got 3 different approaches here, because the corporation I work for is much more directive, much more goal oriented, and you have to do this. And so the ability to integrate all these styles, it's like, how can I get a more autonomous approach into the more directive? And it can be done. And just learning that nothing's pure, at least for me. So, but anything you can kind of get in there to enhance something. So I found it extremely helpful to bring a little bit more intrinsic motivational theory to a quote, the old health coach kind of thing about having the client do it, but still meet the metrics that the corporation expects. So it's that balance that you often do, but then jump from there and then go to a more private practice kind of style. And then even jump later into mentoring by doing a more, okay, now we're going to do it ICF style. And I think head was spinning a little bit for a while, but it was like, this is really possible that you can go from, and people are different. So it just increases what you can do. And as Greg said, the toolboxes is like, well, this little thing can apply in this situation where you normally wouldn't think it would, or it's not allowed. So that's the best way I can answer it.
So Rob, it sounds to me like that coaching is no longer good coaching isn't happening by accident anymore. You know exactly what choices you are making and why in any of those scenarios that you're presented with.
I think so. I mean, there's always, there's an intention, but you can kind of roll with things as it goes. And it's interesting when you say in your head that I don't know if I can integrate this in, and then you're like, oh, here's an opportunity. You can do it. And then I'm recorded all the time, and then you're graded and et cetera. And someone will say, where'd you come up with that? I'm like, well, that's where it come up. This is something, and it's nice when you see that or hear that. And then someone says to you, do you mind introducing that to others that do the same thing? That this looks like something you could do it. And that's what's pretty cool about it. So the adaptability in the real world of coaching, because it varies from place to place, in my experience.
The tools have become instinctual. while there's science behind them, they're also instinctual. They're in your bones.
Erica, I would add,
Yeah, go
I'd
ahead,
add
Kathy.
to that too. I think Jennifer, my perception on your question was really, I feel like I went from being kind of conceptual about all my coaching, like up here, like I knew the Wellcoaches manual, you learn all the theories, and
I remember that, Kathy.
See, here I am. She's like, yes, this is true. I feel like I went from being conceptual and kind of in my head coaching. And when you talk about like the personal shift with my clients, I'm more experiential. I'm more heart-centered in that sense. I'm not as afraid to navigate in some areas where maybe my headspace, I didn't know if I was really comfortable there. It's unlocked some things. To what Rob just said, like you're more inclined to experiment. You learn something new and you're like, I'm going to try this out in a coaching session. And then you get this incredible result back. And for me, that shift was from the conceptual to the more experiential. And then I started doing more experiential type things with my clients, like, where do you feel that in your body? And can you put a shape around that or a color? And that's a hard place for me to feel comfortable coaching. And that's my growth edge. And so I've been kind of moving into that direction, and I've loved it because I've seen it's an and for me. Now I get to kind of have both the big conceptual side and the experiential side, both. And that's real embodied coaching, right? Because that's where you get to create those huge shifts with your client, when you feel like you can kind of work your hands in both sides of that.
Jennifer, I want to add one more piece to that. You asked how you saw the clients respond, and can you speak on their growth? And I can tell you that by using the tools that we have come across, I experimented with several of my clients, and I saw my insight into the client and the client's responses to be deepened as I used more of the tools. So in other words, this is something that when you pick out anything out of the toolbox based on the client and matching what you need to use with that particular client, you can actually watch the clients grow over the weeks. And that's what I enjoyed the most, was seeing the relationship with the clients deepen, and them opening up more to me based on the tools that we were using.
So Iris in the chat asked about whether coaches connected outside of class for more intentional practice of the skills. And I want to speak to one thing and have you all jump in if you have other things to add. One thing I'm really aware of is that almost with every cohort, and this will be our 12th, they have stayed together for another year after classes ended and reread the books together and continued to practice. And often we're working together in preparation for submitting the audio for me. What I see in these groups is really deep networking, where they are always bouncing ideas off each other. This group had a Slack channel, which I wasn't invited to, but they seem to be talking to each other all the time. No, I love that I wasn't invited, because it really just spoke to me about the bubble that you guys wrapped yourself in. I think it's precious. But do any of you have experiences to share about working with your classmates outside of class time to develop your skills?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So yeah, I paired up with a couple of people, one whom I was coaching and the other one who was coaching me. And it was great to have, the practice with someone where you could really be not afraid to try something new, because they know you were just in like a lesson together that week, and now you're coaching them. And so you can try new things, and even just say to them, hey, that thing we did in class, I would love to try that with you. Or to the person coaching you, say, feel free to experiment with me. I'm really open to it. So it was a kind of a different dynamic from the different coach-client relationship, because you are working with a peer, and it did open things up, and there was space. There was just space to not be afraid to try something new and see how it went. So that was really great.
Thanks, Joanna.
And yes, we do have a study group, and we have met already, and yeah, we'll be working together for the next year. Yeah.
That's so great.
I think
see
Erica
another.
also,
Oh yeah, Kathy, please.
I mean, we've made connections in terms of like business too. So, you know, you can connect with other coaches and then you do actual coaching work together that makes money, which is great.
Yes, a cohort before you has a group of students working together in a business. So this happens quite often.
Right.
Paul, or should I call you your well-being, Paul?
Both in one.
Great.
So there's many different coaching programs out there, and I know Kathy already mentioned she was in another one, and so I'm wondering if people have taken other ones, why they chose this one, what was different about this one than other coaching programs, what put it up at the top.
I'll let you all speak to that.
That's easy for me.
Go ahead.
Paul, I got a lot out of the Wellcoaches training. I knew it was already the gold standard in the health coaching arena. So I had done the Wellcoaches training before, and it was inexpensive, first of all, compared to a lot of other professional coach trainings to add on to my Wellcoaches. In order to meet the hours for the ICF certification, it was just a lot of bang for my buck. I got a lot out of it, and it wasn't, it didn't break my wallet. You know, it wasn't a terrible expense. Also, I had Erica and Michael were running that, and actually Michael had been my mentor coach when I did the first core training, and I loved him. And so I didn't know Erica as well then, but now I love Erica just as much. But I loved Michael, and the fact that Michael was involved in it was actually a catalyst for me, because I loved him. I really admire him as a coach. I like his coaching style, and I also knew it was going to be fun. I did a group coaching training with Michael as well, and I just knew this is going to be fun. And it was really fun, a lot of fun. I cried a lot here and there. I did cry some, not gonna lie.
Hey, we do provide tissues.
But it was super fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I did type Michael's name in the chat for those of you who may not have ever had Michael before. It's Michael Schultz. You can look him up to learn more about him. Michael and I do facilitate the 2 residential sessions, and then the 24 lessons and group mentoring sessions in between, and I'll go into that detail in a moment, are hosted by a variety of other faculty. I show up a time or two along the way as well. Thanks, Kathy.
I can talk about really not so much this training, but the core training. I did do another, I did gain another health coach certificate before I came to Wellcoaches. And I didn't feel prepared to be a coach after taking that other course, even though I had the piece of paper that said I was a certified coach. I didn't feel like I was ready to work with people. And then I did Wellcoaches, and it was like night and day. It was just incredible how much more prepared and how just more deeply I understood all of the concepts after going through the Wellcoaches program. So yeah, that's my difference between the two. But I obviously haven't done another professional coach training, so I don't know how any one of those would compare. But this was definitely, you know, I've done a lot of certifications and a lot of things in my life, and this was definitely the best and the most transforming course I've ever taken.
Thanks, Joanna. That reminds me, I'm going to put in the chat the link to yesterday's information session. We had 6 or 7 students there, who were sharing their experiences. So you can just watch the beginning of that if you want some more perspectives, both peers of this group, and then there was another student who'd finished the program in 2020, where we started our residential session in person and then had to close virtually, which was a real bummer, but still an amazing experience. We managed to do that. All right, one last opportunity to ask questions of these students before I just close out. I'll let them go and then close out with some more details.
I just want to dovetail off. I don't want to overstate this, but I do want to dovetail off of what Joanna said, which is one, I also did a health coaching certification before I went to Wellcoaches. Joanna, we never talked about this, but we went to the same place, but I didn't feel prepared either. And which is why I went to Wellcoaches. And two, this was a life-changing experience. I don't want to I hope I'm not overstating that, but I haven't done anything like this in my life, honestly. The connections, the training, the professional experience, it was a game changer for me personally. I can't speak for everyone, but it's the best. I've done a lot of Coaches Rising. I've done a lot of other types of trainings, but this was different. I think the connection, the deep kind of connection that you share with your colleagues made it really special, and I loved it, which Erica knows. I love the group, and I hope that we'll stay connected for a long time. And it's just fun to be on here and see everyone again. So
it is delightful.
Thank you, Erica.
Well, I'll say in 20 years of training coaches and more years before that, leading groups in other spaces, this is the ultimate experience. This is the only place where I've seen this kind of transformation.